is that after making a mistake, we need to face up to it. We need to tell the truth. That is integrity, telling the truth and honoring promises no matter the consequences.
They call me a god. 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 Let's go. I'm about to go off like a weapon. Fuel to the top, got a filled up engine. In my thoughts, obsession. I will not stop, no, I'm never second guessing. I got a God complex. Haters love to hate, but I never feel pressed. Got a lot on my plate, but I never get stressed. I'll take all the pressure like I'm acing this test. Tear it up like I'm Jason. I see the world like it's ready for the taking. I see this place like a game I'm playing. Straight to the bank to collect my payments. No negotiations, it's my way, I was born impatient. And like a damn Freemason, I'll run this nation. They call me a god. 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 I don't know how to stop. I just go till I drop. Whether it's working or shots, give it all that I got. You can watch me work in my element. Anyone in the way is irrelevant. Wanna cross me, cool, not intelligent. Cause I don't forget shit like an elephant. Go ahead and tempt me. Put it on the line and you'll come up empty. If I got time, I'm deadly. Never caught off guard, no, I'm always ready. I got a hand real steady. Look me in the eye and you'll see no hezzy. About to get real messy. I'll put you in a grade 16 like Kenny. Call me a god. Call me a god. Call me a god.
I'm called of God. Called of God. And Tim Ballard told me he'd been called of God. Some wild-eyed prophet, like.
Love me tender, love me sweet, never let me go. You have made my life complete, and I love you.
Hello. How's it going? Let me remove that. Okay, no. Okay. What? I don't know what just happened. Welcome. Glad to be here with you guys. I don't know how this is going to go. We're just going to try it, okay? Earlier, I was like, why the hell did I... is this a good idea? You know, it sounds like it. It sounds good. But then when the rubber meets the pavement, you're like, is it really? And I mean, I always think it's good to review the things, you know, but yeah, I got to do things that are good for the channel as well. And so if it's not popular or I'm sorry. Okay. All those things, then you know, it sucks. It sucks. Branding. Okay. They're branded enough. It just, I don't know. I think it's good though. My hot iron. Okay. I'm just trying to figure out where to put it where it don't burn anything. Right. Besides my hair, because it does a good job of that. Anyways. Right. I think so too, Donna. I think it won't hurt. And God knows that I have gone over for sure the preliminary hearings over, I don't even know, a bazillion times, too many times to count. Whether they played by their, you know, auto played or whatever, or just something specific in the preliminary hearing of Chad Daybell, something that Melanie Gibbs said, or David Warwick, or whomever. It's all important. But I do want to kind of start with a little context so that you can kind of see it as I became aware of it, which was it was freaking what do you call it? Traumatizing. So I'm looking for some raw footage of Nate Eaton flying the chopper over Chad Daybell's property. Now, actually, how I woke up to it that day, June 9th, 2020. I mean, come on, where's all the damn videos? Yeah, do y'all notice that, like, whenever you go to search something where there used to be, so much stuff or whatever, so many things to choose from, and then it's like it kind of gets scrubbed or something. I don't really know what, and it's weird. I don't know. It's like even just keywords of just people that are involved, whether it's directly or indirectly, especially with Tim Ballard. I noticed that there's not a lot of things on certain people. I'm gonna have to turn my notifications off, guys. I'm sorry. It vibrates, and my attention span is that of a fly. Ooh, so, but yeah, I've noticed that a lot, and I'm like, well, it's probably just, I'm sure they pay people separately or whatever. I don't know how that works to scrub. There's people that do that, that as far as I know. Did I even do it? Okay. But it just seems pretty sketch if you want to know my opinion about it. So I just feel like if it's out there and it's on the internet, then it should always be there, instead of it's there and then it's not there. That's I don't know. Just seems it's forever, right? Anyway, how are you guys doing? Still looking for just a regular raw YouTube video. Thought this would be easy. Well, we'll start with this then. I don't know what else to do. Ooh. Oh, I found it by accident. Just by accidentally hitting the buttons like I always do. Oh, thank you, Juniper. Thank you. I came back to the screen and there it is. I appreciate that. Appreciate you. Yeah, no, that's another thing. We got to find out if this is a good time. This is our, practice episode. Okay. So we're just going to try and fill this out and see how this is doing. Oh, I didn't read it. Okay. Love you, Kresha. You're doing amazing. I'm so proud of you, honey. And thank you. That means so much to me. It really does. It's a labor of love, right? So, okay. So this is actually, I really didn't wake up to this per se. Let me put this. I'll get it together, allegedly. Let's see. And let me do videos and kind of what got us here. And this is just kind of how I found out it just got weird, even more weird that day and just real. If I can find Derek Grossarth. Why they gotta be so difficult? Okay. Here, let me just try this. Okay, now let me share my screen real quick. It's playing an ad anyway, so we're not missing anything. Okay. Oh, that's Donna, I think. I'm not sure. Okay, present Chad Daybell. Let's do this guilty. Chad Daybell enters not guilty plea. Actually, let's go here first. I'm showing the wrong screen. Hold on. Hold on. I'll get it one day. Here we go.
Human remains have
Let
been
me know if
found
I'm
at the
echoing.
home of Chad Daybell, whose wife Lori refuses to say where her two missing children are or even if they are alive. It's a heartbreaking development in a case that has gripped America. Police gave few details in a brief roadside press conference.
Investigators and detectives have recovered what's believed to be human remains that are not identified at this time. I do want to add that Chad Daybell, who resides at that residence, has also been taken into custody for questioning.
51-year-old Daybell was seen being led away from his home. No charges have been filed. His wife is Lori Daybell, who is already behind bars and who is refusing to reveal the fate of her children, JJ and Tylee. They have been missing since September. She was extradited to Idaho to face charges of abandonment and denies any wrongdoing.
All right, if you're just tuning in, we are on our way to the home of Chad Daybell, where police have served a search warrant. I'm not going to be saying much here. It will generally be just video from the air. All right, everybody, if you're just tuning in, Nady here in the air. I don't know if you can hear me. The sound might be a little problem, but we are almost over the house of Chad Daybell. We are going to show you what's going on today and give you a shot. We're about, how far away, Chris? About 5 minutes away. 5 minutes away. Hi, Joseph. How you doing? We'll be over the house in just a minute.
And now he was talking about Joe Murray. That was Joseph Murray, Emma's husband. Just saying.
All right, for those of you just tuning in, we are about a minute away from Chad Daybell's home, and the police are serving a search warrant. It is a sealed warrant, so we do not know what the warrant is in relation to, but it is a Rexburg case, and of course, Rexburg police are investigating the missing kids. We're going to give you a shot from the air. We're not going to be up too long. We want the police to be able to do their work, but we did want to get some video from the sky to let you know what's going on. And it looks like we are approaching the house, so we should have some shots here for you in just a minute. See the house? It's back there. There's a red shed. There's a bunch of cops in the back. There's the red. Oh, right there. All the cars on the road, yeah. That's good. I think this is good. Maybe can you get closer to the camera? Yeah, you see that red shed? There's a bunch of police in the background.
I just realized something, and I didn't want to have to stop a lot or anything like that, but I just thought of something, and that's good. That's what this is about, right? That I had not thought of before. When they said, when Detective Ray Hermosillo testifies in the hearing we're going to watch here in a minute, whenever he testifies, I guess he's first, I'm not sure. He says that Chad Daybell had parked or whatever across the street at his daughter Emma and his son-in-law Joseph Murray's house, right? And he said that whenever the police were digging where JJ was, he said Daybell looked over his right shoulder. He was on the phone, looked over his right shoulder, and that's what cued him to leave, to leave the property or leave the scene. And I wonder if this video corroborates that. I didn't think about that before, and I wonder if this could be used in the trial. Just wondering, just to corroborate that significant part of his testimony. Anyways, I don't know. Maybe again, sometimes I'm slow to the game, but he did give money to his kids at that time. Turns out, right. And so earlier in this video, Nate Eaton said, hey, Joseph, we'll be over your house in a minute, but Joseph Murray was in the chat. Joseph Murray has taken pictures or brought his camera out, his phone. When I visited the fence that's on the other side of it's not on Chad Daybell's property anymore or John Pryor's property anymore. They took the memorial fence down, and the Prices across the street, they allow us to have a memorial fence there, but you can't have it there all year, weather conditions. And, as much as it bothers me that, we can't honor the victims the way that they deserve and the way that we want to, we got to get them behind bars for life, for sure, first. Then I guess we can, grieve publicly in that sense. We can let everything just fly. We can sprinkle or pepper the whole area with their photos and stuff, but you know what I'm saying. There's so many things that are not for the victims throughout this entire process. I mean, all the way through the appeals, through everything. You can't show emotion. You can't, you just can't even feel. That's the legal way. And I'm not saying it's the right way, but anyways, let me stop.
This is maybe this circle across. How low can we go from here? So this is where we're searching for the property. We can circle. We can circle again. And actually, it's better if we circle. Yeah. Yeah, the whole area. I don't even know. It's staging.
Black windows are available everywhere. Amsco Black windows are customizable capstock windows with a finish so good they come with a lifetime warranty. Making your home a masterpiece is easier than ever with Amsco.
Zero Energy's Smart Nights plan turns nighttime into the right time. Get reduced charges from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. and an affordable daytime rate. See how you can save at zeroenergy.com/smartnights. Zero Energy, electricity made easy.
Someone just listed the vehicle you've been waiting for. Get alerts on KSL Cars.
UCCU is the credit union that gives you more reasons to love where you bank, with more benefits, more ways to save, and more Walker Kessler than any other financial institution.
Hi, everyone. So, what do we
So sorry for the ad.
Check this
It
out.
sucks. I was doing the wrong thing first.
Just visit uccu.com.
and elevate your banking experience?
Could you teach me how to?
You gotta have bigger hands.
In the case of JJ and Tylee, the two Idaho children whose remains were found buried last week on the property of their stepfather, Chad Daybell.
Tonight, Daybell says he plans to plead not guilty and wants to go to trial. Court records show his attorney entered that plea today to 2 felony counts of concealment or destruction of evidence. This comes just 2 days after authorities confirmed the remains found on his property belonged to 7-year-old JJ Vallow and 17-year-old Tylee Ryan. They'd been missing since September of last year. Currently, Daybell is scheduled to appear in court again on the 1st of July. The children's mother, Lori, will be in court the following week.
Greek yogurt. Is it bad?
Okay. So there's all that. Move my cigarette smoke. Okay. Now we're going to move on to what I believe is the preliminary hearing, day 1. And we're going to start here. I think I got to
testify
hide
what
myself.
they know
I
about the
did.
disappearance of JJ Vallow and Tylee Ryan and those moments leading up to where they found the bodies on the property of Chad Daybell. This is a story that's captivated people from around the world here. So we're going to get starting here in just a second here. We have Nate Eaton here with East Idaho News, who's been covering this story as well.
Good morning, everybody. I am Nate Eaton here. We're outside the Madison, or the Fremont County Courthouse, where Chad Daybell will have his first court appearance, his preliminary hearing here. And in just moments, we're actually waiting for Mr. Daybell to walk from the jail over here to the courthouse. And you can see there's quite a bit of people here waiting for him to do that. Let's walk up here. I don't know if you can get a shot of that. Takes me back to my childhood, ladies. I'm not kidding. Well, you know, if you spiked up again, I never did that. I didn't have that. You gotta have it. I'm not there to pull that out.
So just as Nate said, we're waiting here for Chad Daybell to walk from the Fremont County Jail into the Fremont County Courthouse. He's set to walk from the jail, which is neighboring to the courthouse. They have these box trucks and trailers kind of blocking off the area, but we might catch a little glimpse of him through this crack here.
Good, how are you? Good, thanks. It's good to see you. Yeah. Actually, been spending a lot of time up here.
So again, we're live outside the Fremont County Courthouse, where the Fremont County Jail neighbors alongside where Chad Daybell will be taken from the jail over to the courthouse for his preliminary hearing this morning. It's set to take place all day. There will be several witnesses, as we're told this morning, as they share what evidence, bits and pieces of it, that led up to his arrest.
For tuning in here in about 7 minutes from now, 10 minutes from now, Chad Daybell will appear for a preliminary hearing here at the Fremont County Courthouse. From what we understand, he's about to walk over from the jail with his attorney into the courthouse, and that's why so many people are gathered here. Look over here, you can see that they've put up some trailers and ambulances. They really block the way for people trying to get a glimpse of him. That's for security purposes. If you scroll around here, you can see the roads are closed in front of the courthouse. There is heightened security presence here. Obviously, this is a very high-profile case. Court TV is acting as the pool camera today, meaning they are representing all of the media inside of the courthouse. So they have 3 cameras in there that we are going to tap into their feed. So at 9 o'clock, we're going to switch over to that feed, and you'll be able to watch the hearing all day long. We know that there is a list of 16 potential witnesses. We know who some of those witnesses are, at least 3 FBI agents. Melanie Gibb, a friend of Chad and Lori, tells me she will testify, along with her boyfriend, David Warwick. Those are 5 of the 16. It doesn't necessarily mean that all 16 will take the stand today. They could. This could continue into tomorrow. This could end today. It's kind of a very fluid situation. So again, let's set the stage here for you. We're outside the Madison County Courthouse. Several members of the community are here, and we are waiting to see what will happen here as Chad enters the courthouse. There's also the possibility that he's already in there. We could have brought him over earlier. However, there has been no sign of him. We're going to go on a walk here. Luckily, we have people covering that for when Chad appears. But something interesting as we arrived here today in Fremont County is across the street, there's several signs that say, "Always in our heart." If you can see, right over here, this house has 5 or 6 signs right across the street from the courthouse. And over here, they've got signs. There was a few people that drove by with stickers on their cars that say "Justice" or JJ and Tylee, always in our hearts. So this is something that the community is paying attention to. There's around 5 or 6 people that we've seen already from the community that have come out to the courthouse today with shirts, with stickers and bracelets, just in support. Now, they can't get inside. In fact, nobody can get inside because of COVID. That's the masks, as we all know. The only people that can get inside are those directly tied to the case. Larry and Kay Woodcock are here. The grandparents of JJ, they arrived about 10 minutes ago. They didn't have much to say as they were walking in. Larry seemed upbeat in a way that said, let's get this thing going. They had on masks that said JJ's name and the little symbol that represents autism. Kay didn't have much to say either, but they were in good spirits. They were immediately escorted in. I don't know if they'll be making more comments to the media. Let's go over here again to see if there's any other sign of change. We might have some silence here as we wait to see, as we wait for this hearing to begin. Again, it begins at 9 o'clock. It should begin immediately, right on time. We're going to see if Eric can get as close as he can to get a potential shot.
This is different. I'm glad we're doing this.
Scoot over there. I mean, it's possible.
I know. I just asked the crew. Like, he's upstairs. I feel like
They could have taken him over earlier.
I mean, you were here the whole time. It would have been a very quick.
So again, we're just waiting here. Chad could be in the courthouse already. We aren't sure yet, but if they do have not brought him yet, he will walk through, and we may catch a little glimpse of him walking through here for that preliminary hearing that is set to begin at 9 a.m., which we will transfer over to that feed inside the courthouse as soon as that starts.
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
We've seen prosecution side detectives, FBI agents.
Okay, well, I'll try.
From the defense side, but I'm sure that
Yeah, he's right on the camera. So when I talk again, I'll get closer to the phone.
we saw Kay and Larry Woodcock. That was just a very softer moment. Having the gravity of the situation.
And you're refreshing the evidence page.
No, imagining their so that's why we're looking at them.
Can you change the feature that
I think about a few more minutes.
I guess it's why we can't change the feature to this.
Or do any sign of the chat is recording?
By the way, Nate, there's photos on my Facebook page that you can take and use in the story or in the. Did you push it?
So we'll kind of wait here, just kind of show you all the people that are hoping to catch a glimpse here of Chad Daybell. We have people from the community, 5 or 6, as well as media from around the area in Utah that have just been following this case since the beginning. We will have a feed coming from Court TV. They've agreed to be that poll camera. We'll tap right into it. And as soon as this hearing's set to begin at 9 a.m., we will switch over to that. So you can see what is happening inside the courtroom as if you were actually there. COVID-19 has kind of shut that off to the public, but they have allowed cameras in so that everyone can have a chance to watch a hearing.
I know several of you have said you've had a hard time hearing, so I'm gonna talk as loud as I can. If you're just tuning in, we're outside the Fremont County Courthouse. Here in about 5 minutes, the preliminary hearing for Chad Daybell is about to begin. What is a preliminary hearing? You might be asking. This is where the prosecutor needs to prove to the judge that a crime was indeed committed or likely committed by Chad Daybell. The judge will then decide at the end of the hearing if that indeed likely happened. And when that happens, he will advance the case from magistrate court, which is a lower court, to the district court. A district court is where felonies are heard. It's where jury trials happen. And so all of that will advance the case along. We are keeping an eye on the hearing. The minute it starts, we're going to switch over to that feed and we're going to carry it all day long. What we do know is that Chad and his attorney will be in court. Larry and Kay Woodcock will be in court, likely in the gallery. They will not be called to testify as far as we know. But we do know that two Rexburg detectives are here, Ron Ball and Ray Hermosillo. They will likely be called as witnesses today, along with FBI agents who have been on this case from the beginning. They will be called as witnesses. There is a list of 16 potential witnesses that could be called today and tomorrow. I spoke with Melanie Gibb this morning, Lori and Chad's good friend. She tells me that she will be called to testify, and she said it's going to be very hard. She learned some new information over the weekend that she will be asked about, and her boyfriend David Warwick will also be called to testify. That's supposed to happen today. Everything is fluid. I mean, up until the time this hearing starts, Chad Daybell could waive it. He could show up in front of the judge and say, we're going to waive the hearing, and immediately advance it to the higher court. That likely will not happen, but it is a possibility. We will go through this all again in a week when Lori Daybell has her preliminary hearing at the same courthouse, but there's a chance she could also waive it, meaning they decide not to hold it. It advances to the higher court. Once it hits that higher court, the defendants are then arraigned. That's where they go before a judge and they say whether they're guilty or not guilty. And then a jury trial is set. Now, this isn't going to happen within the next few weeks. This is going to be a long, long process. Another prosecutor here in Eastern Idaho from Bonneville County tells me that generally on a homicide case, on a big case like that, a jury trial can take 1 to 2 years to be held. So we could still be talking about this in 1 to 2 years. I'm going to hey, Janice, can you come here for a minute? We're live here on Facebook. Can you tell me why you came out, Janice, today at the courthouse? And speak loud if you mind, the man.
I came out. There's a group of us that are belong to a Facebook group page, and we're hoping to get a glimpse of any of the witnesses, perhaps Chad, and we're hoping. I'm interested to see what witnesses are going to say and what's going to become of all this. We've been waiting forever and just decided to see. Also a little scared to see what's going to come out.
Tell me about your mask.
This is a original one of a kind Lori Daybell mask. So there's no other out there like this.
So you made the mask because of that first court appearance that Lori had in Idaho. A lot of people noticed her lipstick, and that's in reference to that.
Yes.
And you've been following this story from the beginning. You're a Rexburg local. Haven't seen anything like this. I mean, what is it like to look out here and see this transpiring in your neighborhood?
It's pretty crazy. It's such a small town that you would never think anything like this would happen.
Mm-hmm.
Especially driving into St. Anthony because it's even smaller than Rexburg. So
yeah, it is. It is a small courthouse. Swing around here, Eric. You can see there's other people that are with Janice. Alex, tell me about your shirt.
Yeah, it's a shirt that they gave out.
Good morning, Mr. Pryor.
Good morning, Judge.
Good morning, Mr. Daybell. Good morning, Mr. Wood.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning, Mr. Rammel.
Good morning, Judge.
We're going to go on the record here in Fremont County. It is August the 3rd, 2020. This is case number CR 2220-755. My name is Judge Eddins. This is the case of State of Idaho versus Chad Guy Daybell. This is the date and time set for a preliminary hearing. Before we get started here today, the court notes that there have been various precautions that have been taken in order to ensure the safety of COVID-19 issues. Some of those precautions are being 6 feet away from each other. The court has installed plexiglass up here at the bench. The court notes that Mr. Wood, Mr. Pryor, and Mr. Daybell are not wearing masks. Mr. Wood, do you want to comment on that issue?
Your Honor, I can certainly put on the mask. It is a little difficult to question and speak with them on, but we'll certainly follow the court's directive.
Mr. Pryor?
Judge, my preference is that I be afforded an opportunity to communicate with Mr. Daybell during these proceedings. Mr. Wood and I have a significant amount of space between us. I will do whatever the court directs me to do, but at this point, my preference would be to be able to not only question the witnesses, but in addition, be able to speak without any impediment with Mr. Daybell. If the court directs us otherwise, I will obviously do exactly what the court tells us to do.
Mr. Pryor, do you feel that wearing a mask is going to impede your ability to communicate effectively with your client?
I believe that if there are questions during the proceedings, Judge, I'm going to have to remove the mask. He'll have to remove the mask, and we'll have to have a discussion. I think that at this point there could be some difficulties if we have to communicate through those masks, and I'd rather not do that. It's a personal choice, but I still think it would have an impact on my ability to not only question the witnesses, but to effectively talk with my client during these proceedings. So again, it would be my preference if the judge would honor that request.
Mr. Wood, do you feel not wearing a mask is going to impede your ability to effectively communicate with witnesses and effectively question those witnesses?
It will certainly make it more difficult, Your Honor.
All right, the court's going to proceed as follows. I will allow the parties that are not wearing masks currently to continue not to wear masks. However, I will require that the 6 feet requirement be put into place. I want everyone to spread away from each other. I recognize, Mr. Pryor, you're going to have to communicate with your client, and that's going to be closer than 6 feet. You recognize that there may be a risk there, but that's a risk you're willing to take as well as Mr. Daybell. Is that correct?
It is, Judge.
All right. We'll proceed with that then. We'll proceed with the preliminary hearing. Is this matter going to be heard today, Mr. Wood?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Pryor?
Yes, it is, Judge. Thank you.
Are there any preliminary motions that need to be dealt with before we start the hearing?
No, not from the state.
Judge, I think we may want to approach briefly on an issue, if we may.
Okay. Would you like to have a meeting in chambers briefly?
No, just if Mr. Wood and I could approach the court, it would be a very brief inquiry, and Mr. Wood and I unfortunately been talking all weekend, obviously, about this in preparation for this. And there is one issue that we can briefly take up that's not a significant consequence, but will hopefully and effectively advance the speed of this preliminary hearing.
I would like to take the issue up in chambers so there's no issues with recordings and anything else. We'll take a brief recess back in chambers. We'll reconvene here in just a moment. Thank you. Please be seated. We're going to go back on the record in CR 2220-755, State of Idaho versus Chad Guy Daybell. The court took a brief recess so I could have a sidebar with counsel from the defense and the state. We'll proceed forward. Mr. Wood, does the state wish to make an opening argument here today?
No, Your Honor, the state will just proceed.
Mr. Pryor, does the defense wish to make any opening arguments?
Not at this time, Your Honor. Thank you very much.
Mr. Wood, you may call your first witness.
Thank you. The state calls Ray Hermosillo.
Mr. Hermosillo. If you'll please come forward, stand here in front of the witness stand, raise your right arm and face the clerk.
You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this class and shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Mr. Hermosillo, you can be seated here at the witness stand. Once you enter that witness stand, because it is surrounded by plexiglass, I'll allow you to remove your mask. If you'll get fairly close to that microphone so that we can make a record of you. Mr. Hermosillo, we are making a court record as well. So if you'll make sure to listen to the full question before you begin answering, it will ensure that no two people are talking over each other on the record. Mr. Hermosillo, if you'll give your full name as well as your occupation, we'll get started.
Ray Dennis Hermosillo. I'm a detective with the Rexburg Police Department.
Thank you. Mr. Wood, you may inquire when you're ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. Before I do ask Mr. or Detective Hermosillo any questions, I have several self-authenticating documents and documents that should come into the court under Rule 201. And I will provide those to the court. States Exhibit 1. I'm assuming I hand this to the bailiff.
Mr. Pryor, have you seen a copy of State's Exhibit 1?
I have gotten all of the exhibits at this point, but in terms of the numeric order that they're put in, I have seen that, Judge, and there's no objection to that.
Exhibit 1 will be admitted. Mr. Wood, would you like that to be handed to the witness?
Yes. And then, Your Honor, I have several more States Exhibit 2.
Exhibit 2 will be handed to the bailiff. Mr. Bailiff, if you'll please show that to Mr. Pryor. Mr. Pryor, any objection to the self-authentication of Exhibit 2 being admitted?
No objection, Your Honor.
Exhibit 2 will be admitted.
States Exhibit 3.
Ms. Bailiff, if you'll do the same with Exhibit 3. Mr. Pryor, any objection to Exhibit 3?
No objection, Your Honor.
Exhibit 3 will be admitted.
States Exhibit 4.
Any objection to Exhibit 4, Mr. Pryor?
No objection, Judge.
Exhibit 4 will be admitted.
States Exhibit 5.
No objection, Judge.
Exhibit 5 will be admitted.
Your Honor, States Exhibit 1 through 5 are all self-authenticating documents. I have 2 documents I will ask the court to take judicial notice of. The first is an order on a petition under the Child Protective Act in Madison County case CV 33-20-45 in the interest of Tylee Ryan and Joshua Jackson Vallow. This order was signed by yourself in that case.
Mr. Pryor, any objection to the court taking judicial notice of that document?
Judge, if I could have just one moment, may I, please?
No problem. Mr. Wood, you're not asking for that document to be marked?
We will ask for it to be marked and entered as an exhibit as well.
Okay, Exhibit 6. Is that correct?
Yes.
No objection. Exhibit 6 will be admitted.
And then,
Would you like me to just take that into the clerk's possession at this point, Mr. Wood?
yes, that would be fine.
Court will do so.
And one more document the state would ask the court to take judicial notice of, and that we'd ask to and be entered in State's Exhibit 7, an order in that same child protection case deeming that Lori Vallow was served on January 25th and that any errors in that service were cured.
Okay. Mr. Pryor, any objection to Exhibit 7?
No objection, Judge.
Exhibit 7 will be admitted. The court will take judicial notice of said exhibit. Mr. Wood, any other?
No, if I may inquire of the witness now.
You may inquire when you're ready.
Thank you. Mr. Hermosillo, will you state your name and spell it for the court?
Ray Dennis Hermosillo, RayDennis Hermosillo.
Thank you. What is your current occupation?
I'm a detective with the Rexburg City Police Department.
How long have you been a detective?
Over a year,
Okay. How long have you been with the Rexburg Police Department?
19 years.
Are you post-certified?
I am.
Detective, have you ever had the opportunity to meet the defendant, Chad Daybell?
Yes,
Is he here in the court today?
he is.
Can you point him out and describe what he's wearing?
Sitting at the defense table in white shirt, blue tie.
Detective, how did you become involved in the investigation regarding JJ Vallow and Tylee Ryan?
In early November, I was contacted by Gilbert Police Department. I was asked to seize a Jeep that was in Lori Vallow's possession. Along with that, I was asked to perform intermittent surveillance.
And did you do that for the Gilbert Police Department?
I did.
Okay. Did they ever ask you to do anything else?
Yes.
What was that?
I was asked to do a welfare check on November 25th,
Okay.
2019.
Oh, 2019?
Yes, sir.
Who were you asked to do a welfare check on?
A 7-year-old boy by the name of Joshua JJ Vallow, who also went by JJ.
Okay, and is it all right with you if I just refer to that child as JJ from here on out?
Yes.
Okay. Detective, have you ever met JJ Vallow?
No.
Have you ever met Tylee Ryan?
No.
Okay. Through your investigation, have you learned what JJ Vallow and Tylee Ryan looked like?
I have.
How have you done that?
I've seen hundreds of videos and photographs of Tylee and JJ both.
Okay. Detective, I'm going to ask you to look at State's Exhibit 1.
Before we get any further into this, let me just remind the media that pursuant to Idaho Court Administrative Rule 32, the court is prohibiting the photography or the filming of any exhibits until further order of the court. That would include, but not be limited to, any documents that are exhibits, any pictures that are exhibits, and any film that are exhibits that are going to be played potentially today. I will allow the cameras to remain running so that the audio can be recorded, but any photography or filming of any of those exhibits is prohibited. Also, any filming or recording of any of the table of the defense, any notes or anything else is prohibited, as well as the state. So with that, Mr. Wood, you may proceed.
Thank you. Detective, do you have State's Exhibit 1?
I do.
What is that document?
This is a birth certificate for Kane and Trahan.
For who?
Kane and Trahan.
Okay. And what is Kane and Trahan's birth date?
May 25th, 2012.
Okay. And who are Kane and Trahan's parents listed as?
Dennis Trahan and Mandy Ledger.
Okay. Thank you. Detective, can you look at State's Exhibit 2? What is that document?
An adoption decree.
Okay. Who is listed on that adoption decree? Who is the child listed on that adoption decree?
Kane and Trahan.
Kane and Trahan. Who are the adoptive parents of Kane and Trahan?
Mr. Wood, I'm having a hard time hearing. Are you saying Cayman?
Canaan.
Canaan, can you have the witness spell that name, please?
Canaan.
And the last name?
Trahan.
Thank you.
Thank you. Who are the adoptive parents of Kane and Trahan?
Leland Charles Anthony Vallow and Lori Noreen Cox Vallow.
Okay. And does that document contain a name change for Kane and Trahan?
It does.
What is his name changed to?
Joshua Jackson Vallow.
Okay. Detective, will you look at State's Exhibit 3? What is that document?
A birth certificate.
Who is it a birth certificate for?
Joshua Jackson Vallow.
Okay, and what is the birth date listed on that?
May 25th, 2012.
Thank you. Will you look at State's Exhibit 4? What is that document?
A birth certificate.
Who is it a birth certificate for?
Tylee Ryan.
What is her birth date listed?
9/24/2002.
And who are the parents listed on that?
Joseph Anthony Ryan Jr. and Lori Noreen Cox.
Okay. And Detective, will you look at State's Exhibit 5? What is that?
A marriage certificate.
Who is it a marriage certificate for?
Chad Guy Daybell and Lori Noreen Ryan Vallow.
Okay, and what is the date of marriage?
November 5th, 2019.
And where was that certificate of marriage issued?
In Hawaii, on the island of Kauai.
Okay, thank you. Detective, you testified earlier you were asked to do a welfare check, correct?
Correct.
What did you do in response to that welfare check?
On November 26th, 2019, myself and Detective Hope went to 565 Pioneer Road, which was Lori Vallow's residence. We ended up making contact with the defendant, Mr. Daybell, and Alex Cox.
I'm going to stop you there. Who was Alex Cox?
Alex Cox is Lori's brother.
Okay. So you made contact with them. What happened?
I made contact with Alex and asked Alex if Lori was home.
How did he respond?
Judge, I'm going to object hearsay.
Mr. Wood?
Your Honor, this is a statement of a co-conspirator coming in. He is an unavailable witness because he's no longer living, but it's still a statement of a co-conspirator, and I think it comes in.
Mr. Pryor, let you respond to that.
Judge, I'd like to see the court documents that list Mr. Alex Cox as a co-conspirator. I don't believe those documents are presently in existence at this point, so I have nothing that supports that other than Mr. Wood's statement.
Mr. Wood?
Your Honor, the complaint alleges Mr. Daybell, Mrs. Vallow, conspirators known and unknown, and the probable cause affidavit clearly lists Alex Cox as a co-conspirator.
Mr. Pryor, it appears that Mr. Wood is explaining that because it is information communicated between co-conspirators named in a criminal complaint, it falls under the rule of non-hearsay under the Idaho criminal rules. Do you wish, or excuse me, the Idaho rules of evidence. Do you wish to respond to that?
Judge, the complaint also lists known and unknown. So at this point, if we go by Mr. Wood's analysis, Anybody could be listed or mentioned as a co-conspirator, and all sorts of information can come in. So at this point, I stand by my initial response, which is, at least from my reading of the pleadings and the current criminal charges that are filed, there are two people that are alleged in this thing. And at that point, that's what I believe the proper application of the rule is.
The court is going to overrule the objection. The court finds that Alex Cox is named in the criminal complaint. At this juncture, we're at a preliminary hearing stage where probable cause is the standard. Mr. Pryor, if there are other co-conspirators that are named or that are brought up here today, you may renew your objection, or you may renew your objection in a further time if you feel that the allegation has not been presented sufficiently enough to show that Mr. Cox is a co-conspirator. But I am going to allow it. Under 801, the exception that allows for co-conspirator communication to be admitted. So with that, Mr. Wood, you may continue to inquire.
Thank you. Detective, can you answer that question?
Can you ask it one more time, please?
Yes. So you had testified you made contact with Mr. Daybell and Mr. Cox. What did you ask Mr. Cox?
I asked Mr. Cox if Lori Vallow was home.
How did he respond?
He stated she was not home.
Okay. What happened after that?
I asked Alex if JJ was home. I informed Mr. Cox why I was there is to do a welfare check on JJ. So I asked him if he was there.
How did he respond?
Initially, he didn't respond. He just looked at the defendant Daybell and didn't answer my question initially.
Okay. And then what happened?
I asked him again, and he stated that Joshua was with his grandma Kay in Louisiana.
Okay. How did you respond to that?
I told Mr. Cox that was unlikely because Kay was the one who originally called in the welfare check.
All right. What happened after that?
I asked Mr. Cox how I can get a hold of Lori and asked him for her phone number.
How did he respond?
He stated he didn't have it.
Okay. What did that make you think when he told you he didn't have his phone number?
Judge, I'm going to object.
Reason?
Judge, this witness can offer his recitation of the facts, but if we're going to start getting into the issue of whether or not he gets to present his impression in terms of what a third party had told him, I think is inappropriate.
Mr. Wood, can you repeat the question for the court?
The question was what Detective Hermosillo thought of Mr. Cox's response that he did not have Lori Vallow's phone number.
Mr. Wood, you want to respond to the objection made by Mr. Pryor?
Your Honor, I'm not aware of any rule that doesn't allow the detective to describe his thoughts on an investigation.
I'm going to overrule the objection. Mr. Hermosillo, you can give your thoughts as to what you were feeling at that time. Mr. Pryor, if that goes beyond thoughts, you're welcome to re-up your objection, and I'll retake it up to.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you.
Go ahead, Mr. Wood.
Can you answer the question?
I thought it was suspicious because I knew that they had been close based on my initial investigation.
Okay. What happened after that, Detective?
I asked Mr. Cox where I could find Lori so I can make contact with her. And he stated that she was in apartment 107.
Okay. Once you learned that information, what did you do?
Myself and Detective Dave Hope then went to 107 to attempt to make contact with Lori.
What happened there?
Detective Dave Hope went to knock on the front door. As he was knocking on the front door, I saw the defendant Daybell driving towards me in his black Equinox.
Okay. And what did you do?
I stopped Mr. Daybell to further speak with him.
Yeah. Did you ask him any questions?
I did.
What did you ask him?
I asked Mr. Daybell when's the last time he saw JJ, and he stated that he saw JJ in apartment 107 in October.
Okay. Now, apartment 107, do you know who, you stated this was on 565 Pioneer Road. Do you know who apartment 107 belonged to, or who lived in that apartment?
Not at that time.
Okay. What happened after he gave you that answer?
I asked Mr. Daybell for Lori Vallow's phone number, and he stated he didn't have it.
Okay. What did you think when he told you he didn't have her number?
I again found it suspicious because I knew that they were married 2 weeks prior to my contact with Mr. Daybell.
Okay, and again, just for clarification, what was the date we're talking about now? What was that date?
November 26th, 2019.
Did you ask Mr. Daybell any other questions?
I did. I asked Mr. Daybell how he knew Lori Vallow, and he stated that he had only met her a couple times through Alex Cox.
Okay. What happened after that?
Detective Hope had come back to where we were speaking. I again asked Mr. Daybell if he had Lori's phone number, and at that point, he gave me Lori Vallow's phone number.
Okay, did you ask him why he hadn't given you that number?
I did.
And what was his response?
He stated that he felt like I was accusing him of something.
Okay. In your interaction with him, had you accused him of anything?
No.
Okay. What did you do in your investigation after that?
I broke contact with Mr. Daybell and called Lieutenant Ron Ball to respond to my location. Based on Mr. Daybell's actions, Mr. Cox's actions, what I was told about them hardly knowing each other, I felt there was something more going on with the whereabouts of JJ, so I wanted more officers over there so we could figure out what was going on.
Okay. And then what happened after that?
Lieutenant Ron Ball, Detective Dave Stubbs, and Officer Kellen Wett responded over to 565 Pioneer.
Okay. And then what happened?
Myself and Lieutenant Ron Ball attempted to make contact with Lori in apartment 175 and were unable to make contact with anybody in apartment 175.
Okay. What did you do after that?
We went to apartment 174, which was Melanie Boudreau's apartment.
And stopped right there. Who is Melanie Boudreau?
It's Lori's niece.
Okay. And then what happened?
We were unable to make contact with anybody there as well.
Okay. So what did you do after that?
I was instructed by Lieutenant Ron Ball to go to the prosecutor's office and obtain a search warrant.
Is that what you did?
I went to the prosecutor's office, yes.
Did you obtain a search warrant that day?
No, I did not.
Okay. Did you have any contact with Lori Vallow that day?
I did not have any contact with Lori, no.
Okay. Were you still with Detective Hope?
I was.
Do you know if he had contact with Lori Vallow that day?
He did.
Okay. Do you know?
Judge, could I have some foundation as to?
I can lay that.
All right.
You were with Detective Hope that day?
Yes.
Do you know if he ever attempted to call Lori Vallow with the number you were given?
He did. He attempted to call Lori Vallow on the way to the prosecutor's office.
Okay. And did he ever get in touch with her? Did she ever answer the phone when he called?
No, he was able to leave a message on her voicemail.
Okay. And were you with him when he did that?
I was not with him when he did that.
Judge, I'm going to move to strike.
Okay. Reason?
Well, Judge, he has no basis other than what he was told, obviously. If he wasn't present during that conversation, I'm not sure how he can admit that conversation since he wasn't present for that. And the only way he would know that is if either Lieutenant Ball or someone else told him that that took place. It's hearsay at this point, and it's not admissible.
Your Honor, we'll just move on. It's fine.
All right. That will be stricken.
I would do ask that it be stricken from the record, though.
That conversation will be stricken from the record. Just so I'm clear, Mr. Pryor, the conversation between Mr. Ball and
Your Honor, I believe it was Detective Hope that Detective Stubbs
I
listed.
apologize. I said Lieutenant Ball. Lieutenant Ball?
Detective Hope.
Detective Ball. I apologize. I meant Officer Hope. I apologize.
that conversation will be stricken.
Detective, during your investigation that day, were you able to locate JJ Vallow?
No.
Okay. Did you, have you spoken with Detective Ball and Detective Stubbs about their investigation that day?
I have.
Do you know if parts of their investigation were on body cam?
It was.
Judge, I'm going to object again, foundation.
Mr. Wood? Mr. Pryor, the question was if Mr. or Officer Hermosillo knew if it was on body cam. So I'm going to overrule that objection. That's just a question for Mr. Hermosillo. Obviously, what's in the body cam is probably a different story. You may proceed.
Thank you.
Mr. Hermosillo, you may answer that question.
It was on body cam.
Okay. Have you had an opportunity to watch that body cam?
Yes.
Okay. I asked you earlier if you were able
Judge,
to.
could we approach, please?
You may. Would you like to do that back in chambers?
No, no.
I'll instruct the media to make sure that recording is not taking place here.
You crack me up, TC. Especially droopy eye there. We all think the same thing, Hughes. Yeah. North Wilding says he's pretending he knows what's going on. I don't know. I never asked her. Could they hear? You're welcome, X-Files. Thank you for being here. This really, I don't know. It sounded like a good idea. Then I was like, maybe not. And then as we're doing this, yeah, I do believe. It's bringing up a lot of things for all of us. And I think it's just good for us to revisit, you know, and just kind of, we already know he's going to get on our nerves. We know this. He does it now. He triggers a lot of people. They trigger a lot of people. I used to like, I'm sorry, but I used to like when people were like this, people watching. It's just something I've always enjoyed. But you sit there and me and my friend would just be like, oh, did you just make up your own conversation of what you think they're saying or whatever? It's fun. Yes. All right, let me mute myself. He is a wiener.
We'll go back on the record. Court took a brief sidebar to discuss an evidentiary issue. Mr. Wood, you may ask that question again, please.
Detective Hermosillo, have you watched the body cam video of Detective Stubbs?
Yes.
Okay. Did you obtain a search warrant on November 26th?
On November 26th?
Yes.
No.
Okay. I'm going to call your attention to November 27th, 2019. What did you do in furtherance of your investigation on November 27th?
We were able to obtain a search warrant for apartments 175, 174, and 107 at 565 Pioneer.
And what was the purpose of searching those apartments?
To locate JJ.
Okay. At this time, were you searching for Tylee Ryan?
No.
Were you aware of Tylee Ryan at this time?
No.
Okay. So where did you search?
All three apartments.
Okay. And just for clarity of the record, those three apartments are 175, 174, and 107 on 565 Pioneer Road?
That's correct.
Thank you. Were you able to locate JJ in any of those apartments?
No, we were not.
Okay. Did you find, what evidence, if any, did you find to suggest he had been living there in any of those apartments?
In 175, there was a half-empty prescription bottle of Resperdone and also a suitcase that had JJ's name on it.
Okay, and that prescription bottle, did that have JJ's name on it?
It did.
Okay. Was there anything else of interest to you in searching those apartments?
Yes.
What was that?
The apartments appeared to be lived in. There was food in the refrigerator, food in the pantry, furniture. The only thing that was off in 175 was it appeared that there was no clothes. Everything had been taken off the hangers and there was no clothes in the dresser drawers.
Okay. Did all three apartments appear to be lived in at the moment?
No.
Oh. Can you elaborate on that?
107 was completely vacant.
Okay. Did you obtain another search warrant that day?
We did.
What caused you to obtain another search warrant?
During the initial search of 175 in the master bedroom, a rental agreement was located for a self-storage unit on Airport Road.
All right. Do you know the name of that storage unit?
Self-storage.
Self-storage. Oh, okay, I apologize. I misheard you. Do you know the number of the storage unit?
I believe it was C52.
Okay. And did you execute that search warrant?
We did.
What did you find?
There was some winter clothing in a couple of boxes, a couple of children's bikes, and in the winter clothing, there was a couple personalized blankets that had the pictures, looked like family pictures that were sewn onto the blankets.
Okay. Detective, what city are those apartments located in?
I'm sorry,
What city were those apartments located in?
Rexburg,
Okay. And what county is Rexburg in?
Madison County.
Thank you. Detective, at the end of November 27th, had you located JJ Vallow?
No, we had not.
Okay. What was the next step in your investigation?
Well, our next step was we were just trying to locate JJ. We had obtained search warrants for cell phone data, spoke to numerous friends of the family.
Judge, could I get some foundation, please? That's a very broad statement regarding phone records and discussing witnesses with family.
So you're making an objection on foundational purposes, is that correct?
It is, Judge. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Wood?
I'll lay some more foundation, Your Honor. As part of your investigation, did you try to locate individuals who may have known Chad Daybell or Lori Vallow?
Yes, we did.
Okay. Who were some of those individuals?
Family and friends.
Okay. Do you know any of their names?
Melanie Boudreau, Ian Pulowski, Gilbert Police had contacted family members in Arizona.
Okay. All right. Did you engage the help of any other law enforcement agencies?
We did. We asked for assistance from the FBI.
Okay. While you were searching for JJ Vallow, at any time did Lori Vallow or Chad Daybell, to your knowledge, ever call the Rexburg Police to report missing children?
No, in fact, we attempted several times to get a hold of Lori, and her cell phone was shut off. We attempted to get a hold of Chad and never gotten any return phone calls. And in fact, they retained an attorney and refused to answer any questions.
Detective, during your search for JJ, did that investigation ever grow to include Tylee Ryan?
It did.
Why was that?
In speaking with family members, we were also told that nobody
Judge,
had.
I'm going to object at this point.
What grounds?
Well, it's hearsay. If he's going to start, and of course, nodding his head, obviously, if he's going to start reciting what other people have told him, other than what is permissible under the rules, that's hearsay, Judge. It's not admissible.
Mr. Wood, you wish to respond to that objection?
Yes, Your Honor, I think it comes in for the effect on the listener to explain what the investigator did.
Can you give me the specific exception under Rule 801?
Yes.
Are you looking at 803, Mr. Wood?
Yes, Your Honor.
And will you give me which subsection you're looking at?
Your Honor, I think it comes in under 8031. The present sense impression explains what Detective Hermosillo learned and why he did what he did based on that.
Mr. Pryor?
Judge, in response, that's not a present sense impression. What it is there's an investigation that's going on, and what Mr. Wood is attempting to do is to get statements from witnesses who are not here today. It's clearly hearsay, Judge. His initial response, obviously, in terms of why it comes in, was not appropriate, and this one's just as not proper in terms of a present sense impression. Not only hasn't been a proper foundation to suggest there's a present sense impression, which he needs to first establish that. Secondly, if this witness would like to talk about actions that he took, I'm not going to tell Mr. Wood how to get any evidence in, but if he would like to talk about any actions this officer took as a result of talking with other people, he can do that. But clearly, the statements of those other people does not come in. It's hearsay. It's not admissible under any of the exceptions.
Mr. Wood, any other response?
Yes, Your Honor. Again, it's not coming in for the truth of the matter. It's coming in to establish why Mr. Hermosillo or Detective Hermosillo and his team did what they did.
And Judge, that's not necessary for you to bring in the statements then. All you have to do is say, officer, and I'm not again telling Mr. Wood how to try his case, but quite honestly, Judge, if he suggests to this officer, did you take any action based on what information you received from family members, we can move forward with this thing. But again, I stand by my initial objection. It is not permissible or appropriate for him to get in information from those other family members. There is another manner in which he can proceed if he wants to proceed that way. But getting those statements in is clearly inadmissible.
Mr. Wood, I'm going to sustain the objection as it pertains to specifics to what the family members stated. Those are hearsay. If there are specific statements that you're looking to get in that are not truth of the matter asserted, I'll let you continue and you can try to see what can happen. But if you're looking for specific instances or specific statements that have been made by the family members pertaining to the investigation, I'm going to sustain the objection as hearsay.
That's fine, Your Honor. Thank you. Detective, did you take any steps to learn if Lori Vallow had any other children?
We did.
Okay, what steps were those?
We spoke with family members. We spoke with her son, Colby Ryan.
Okay. And did you, in your investigation, did that investigation grow from searching just for JJ to searching for JJ and Tylee Ryan?
Yes, it did.
Thank you. Your Honor, I'd like to have the exhibit or the witness exhibit, State's Exhibit 8.
Exhibit 8. Madam Bailiff, if you'll please show Exhibit 8 to Mr. Pryor. Mr. Pryor.
Judge, there's no objection.
Exhibit 8 will be handed to the witness. Mr. Pryor, just so I'm clear, there's no objection to Exhibit 8 being admitted. Is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Exhibit 8 will be admitted.
Your Honor, I'd also ask that the witness be handed State's Exhibit 9.
Any objection to that admission?
No, Judge.
Exhibit 9 will be admitted.
Detective Hermosillo, can you look at State's Exhibit 8? Are you familiar with that, that exhibit?
Yes.
And what is it?
It's a photograph of JJ, Tylee Ryan, and Alex Cox.
Okay. Do you know where that photograph came from?
I do.
Where?
It was obtained through a search warrant from Chandler Police Department from one of Lori Vallow's iCloud accounts.
Okay. And have you had the opportunity to review the pictures on that iCloud account?
Yes, I have.
And so you recognize that picture?
Yes.
Can you tell the court what is in that picture?
It appears they're in West Yellowstone National Park.
Okay. And who all is in that picture?
JJ, Tylee, and Alex Cox.
Okay. Do you know what date that picture was taken?
September 8th,
Okay.
2019.
Pardon?
September 8th, 2019.
Thank you. Can you look at Stakes Exhibit 9? Do you recognize that picture?
I do.
And have you seen it before?
Yes, I have.
Do you know where that picture came from?
Yes.
Can you tell the court?
It was also obtained through a search warrant from Chandler Police Department from Lori's iCloud account.
Okay. Do you know what date that picture was taken?
September 22nd, 2019.
Okay. And who is in that picture?
It's JJ sitting on a couch.
Okay. Detective, as part of your investigation, did you attempt to locate or let me rephrase that. As part of your investigation, did you look for proof of life of JJ and Tylee?
We did.
And what, for the purposes of your investigation, would suffice for proof of life?
We had set up a hotline through NCMEC, which is National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. We also had a hotline set up through the FBI, and we would receive hundreds of tips on possible sightings of JJ and Tylee.
Okay. And would you follow up on those tips and sightings as part of your investigation?
We would.
And is it fair to say that a photograph of the child that you could recognize as a child could be considered proof of life?
Yes.
Okay. Detective, have you found any photographs of Tylee Ryan after September 8th, 2019 that
No.
you can positively identify as being taken after September 8th, 2019?
No, we have not.
Okay. In your investigation, have you found any photographs after September 22nd, 2019 of JJ that can be positively identified as JJ?
No, we have not.
Okay. Detective, have you been able to verify through any tip or lead any other verifiable sighting of Tylee Ryan after September 8th, 2019?
No.
And have you been able to verify through your investigation, or find, I should say, through your investigation, any other verifiable sighting of JJ Vallow after September 22nd?
No.
Okay. Detective, are you aware if a Child Protection Act was filed for JJ Vallow and Tylee Ryan in Madison County, Idaho?
Yes, I am.
Were you involved in that?
I was.
How?
I was the affiant.
Okay. Do you remember when that was filed?
I believe it was January 16th, 2020.
Okay. And are you familiar with the initial order in that action?
Yes.
Did that order, let me ask this, did that order pertain to Mr. Daybell?
No, it did not.
Okay. Who did it pertain to?
Lori Vallow.
Did that order instruct Lori Vallow to do anything?
It instructed her to bring her minor children to the Rexburg Police Department or the Department of Health and Welfare within 5 days of being served.
Okay. And are you aware if Lori Vallow was ever served with that?
She was.
Okay. Do you remember what date she was served with that?
January 25th, 2020.
Okay. After that was filed, were you ever able to locate Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow?
Yes.
How did you do that?
Through tips and obtaining search warrants for cell phone data.
Okay. Where did you believe they were located?
In Hawaii, on the island of Kauai.
Okay. And did you ever have an opportunity to go there?
I did.
Okay. What did you do while you were there?
Judge, could I have some foundation, please?
Can you give some specifics as far as
Date, time, place,
Mr. Wood?
when he left, when he came back?
You bet. Do you remember when you went to Hawaii?
January 24th, 2020.
Okay. Do you remember when you returned from Hawaii?
I don't remember the date.
Okay. What island of Hawaii were you on, or did you travel to?
Kauai.
Okay. Oh, and again, what was the purpose of you traveling to the island of Kauai?
To assist the Kauai Police Department with serving Lori Vallow that court order.
Okay. And when you say the order, you're referring to that child protection order we just discussed?
Yes.
Okay. Did you do anything else while you were there?
We also assisted with surveillance.
Okay. While you were there, did you ever see JJ Vallow or Tylee Ryan?
No, I did not.
Okay. Did you do anything else in furtherance of your investigation while you were there?
Yes, I did.
What was that?
I observed Kauai Police Department execute a search warrant on the defendant Daybell's vehicle and also their residence in Princeville.
Okay. Did you actually do the search, or did you just observe Kauai Police Department do that?
No, I just observed.
Okay. When you observed them, did you say you observed them search a vehicle?
Yes.
Do you know what kind of vehicle it was?
It was an SUV.
Okay.
Detective Hermosillo, I'm having a little bit of trouble hearing you. If you don't mind speaking up just a little bit.
Okay. I'll scoot closer. Is that better?
Yeah, and if you point that microphone up, but aim it at your chin, it'll make a better record. There you go.
All right. That vehicle, had you observed Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow in that vehicle?
Yes.
And when you observed the Kauai Police Department search it, were Chad and Lori in the vehicle at the time it was searched?
No, not at the time it was searched.
Well, let me rephrase that. Had you seen them in it directly before it was searched?
Yes.
Okay. Did you have an opportunity to observe the items that were taken from that vehicle?
Some of them.
Some of them? From what you observed, did you observe anything that would indicate that JJ Vallow and Tylee Ryan had been in that vehicle?
No, I did not.
Okay. Did you help, or did you observe any other search warrants being served?
Yes, on their residence on Queen Emma Drive in Princeville.
Okay. Did you enter that residence?
I did.
Did you walk through the whole residence?
Not the entire residence.
Okay. What portion of that residence did you walk through?
The downstairs bedroom area and the upstairs living room.
Okay. In any of the areas you observed, did you observe anything that would indicate, did you observe anything that would indicate that JJ Vallow had been there?
No.
Did you observe anything that would indicate that Tylee Ryan had been there?
No.
Okay. Detective, after you returned from Kauai, did you ever have a reason to go back to Kauai?
I did.
And what was that?
To also assist the Kauai Police Department with the arrest warrant of Lori Vallow.
Okay. Do you know what she was arrested for?
Minor or desertion of her minor children, 2 counts and 3 misdemeanors.
Okay.
Judge, can I also have some foundation, date, time, place?
Yes. When approximately did you return to Kauai?
Middle of February.
Okay. Do you recall what day you returned from Kauai?
A couple days after she was arrested, which was February 20th, so a couple days after that.
Okay. Did you ever have an opportunity to be in court with the defendant Vallow?
Yes.
Did you observe if she was notified of her charges?
She was.
Were you able to observe if the defendant Chad Daybell was present in the courtroom?
Yes, he was.
Detective, as part of your investigation, did you help execute a search warrant on Chad Daybell's residence?
Judge, could I have some foundation again? I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but if we could have a date, time, place, and I can get some of this in cross in terms of his representations, the last one about the middle of February, I would think that he'd have a more specific time in mind, but if we could have some specifics, I would appreciate it in terms of the date and time.
Are you talking about the courtroom issue or the warrant issue?
I'm talking about the warrant issue.
All right, Mr. Wood, it sounds like you asked the question if a warrant was done. I'll let Mr. Hermosillo answer that question. Then as far as the foundational issue, I'll sustain that objection. Mr. Wood, you'll need to lay some foundation.
Okay. Detective, as part of your investigation, on June 9th of 2020, did anything significant happen that day?
Yes.
Okay. Where did that happen?
In Fremont County at Mr. Daybell's residence.
Do you know the address?
202 North 1900 East.
Have you observed Mr. Daybell at that residence?
Yes.
Okay. What was your purpose of being at that residence?
To serve a search warrant of the property.
Okay. And did you, I believe you already said this, but just for clarity of the record, what county is that residence located at?
Fremont County.
Okay. Detective, what was the first thing you did in serving that warrant on June 9th?
We walked up to the front door to make contact with Mr. Daybell.
And what did you do after that?
We were able to make contact with Mr. Daybell's son, who answered the front door. He and another son led us into Mr. Daybell's room, where he was told that we had a search warrant for the property.
Okay, and then what happened?
Mr. Daybell came out of the room. He was able to sit in the kitchen area. He was allowed to speak with his attorney inside the kitchen area.
Okay. What happened after that?
Mr. Daybell was told if he wanted to stay on the property, which he could have, he would have to be accompanied by an officer for officer safety reasons. He was also told he was free to leave the residence if he wanted to.
Okay, and then what happened?
Mr. Daybell left and went and sat in his vehicle, which was parked in the driveway facing west off of 1900 East.
Okay. Your Honor, the state does have a demonstrative exhibit. We'd like to show the witness for purposes of clarity for the court and to further help the court understand what the detective is describing.
All right. Can you show that demonstrative exhibit to Mr. Pryor, please?
Your Honor, may I set up these on?
You may. Mr. Pryor, an objection?
No, Judge.
Mr. Wood, have you marked this exhibit?
We have not yet, Your Honor. Does the court have a preference on how a demonstrative exhibit is marked?
No. Why don't we just mark it as the next number that you've got there? I believe the last exhibit that was marked as Exhibit 9. This would be Exhibit 10.
Your Honor, I will mark it as such.
It'll be marked as Exhibit 10. Mr. Pryor, just so I'm clear, any objection to the publishing and or the admission of Exhibit 10 for demonstrative purposes?
I'm sorry, Judge.
Just so I'm clear, Mr. Pryor, any objection to the publication and or the admission of Exhibit 10 for demonstrative purposes?
No, Judge, but what I would like to do is leave that up because I'm probably going to use that on cross of this officer. So if my preference is that if when Mr. Wood is done, that remain up so that I can use it again as part of my cross-examination, if I may, Judge.
That's fine. We'll probably move it to the side if there's something that happens after this between you and cross-examination, but we'll make sure that it's available to you at cross-examination.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Wood, you may inquire.
Before I do, Mr. Pryor, can you do that?
I can. Thank you, Mr. Wood.
And can the court and
I can.
Okay, Detective Hermosillo, do you recognize that exhibit, State's Exhibit 10?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
It's an aerial photograph of Mr. Daybell's property.
Okay. Again, what county is that in?
Fremont County.
Now, do you recall Mr. Daybell's address?
202 North, 1900 East.
Okay. Detective, you were, correct me if I'm wrong, you were talking about what happened that morning. You'd served the warrant on Mr. Daybell. And then I believe you stated that he had gotten in his vehicle. Is that accurate?
That's correct.
And can you, Your Honor, I'm not quite sure how we're going to do this with the COVID restrictions and plexiglass. So I guess we'll just take it as it goes.
If you're going to ask him to leave the witness, we'll call it the cubicle, I will ask Mr. or Detective Hermosillo to put his mask on when he goes out there to point at the. There's a laser light over there too, Mr. Wood, if you'd like him to use that.
That would be perfect.
Okay.
Can you make sure, Detective, that laser light works?
Yep.
Okay. And can the court and defense see that?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Wood.
Okay, Detective Hermosillo, can you point to where you observed Mr. Daybell in his vehicle, like you were describing?
Mr. Daybell was in this vehicle here, facing westbound. This is 1900 East.
Okay. Where were you standing?
I was standing right here, and then I was at Mr. Daybell's driver's door speaking with him, just briefly asking if he needed a code or anything out of the house.
Okay. And were you able to clearly view Mr. Daybell?
Yes.
Okay. What did you observe when you were watching Mr. Daybell?
Mr. Daybell was on the phone, sitting in the driver's seat. He had the phone in his right hand and was intently continuing looking over his right shoulder. He would look over his right shoulder for a while, break contact, talk on the phone for a second, and then he would continue looking back over his right shoulder.
Okay.
Pretty intently over his right shoulder.
Did you have an opportunity to stand in roughly that same location that he had been in that day?
Yes.
Okay. For purposes of your investigation, did you attempt to orient yourself towards, in the same manner that you viewed Mr. Daybell orient himself?
Yes.
Okay. When you did that, what did you see?
Well, the second time Mr. Daybell had got out of the vehicle and went to the back of his vehicle, he was wearing a hat. He stood at the back of his vehicle looking in the same direction he was looking when he was inside the driver's seat. He took off his hat, ran his fingers through his hair, looked down towards the ground, put his hat back on, went back inside the driver's seat of that vehicle.
Okay. Now, a detective, I don't think you quite understood my question. I apologize, must not have been very clear. Did you ever stand in that same location that day?
I did. I was talking with Mr. Daybell while he was outside of his vehicle.
Okay. And did you ever orient yourself in the same direction that you viewed Mr. Daybell orient himself?
Yes.
And when you oriented yourself in that same direction, what did you find yourself looking at?
The north side of the property at the pond area.
Okay, now when you say the pond area, can you identify that?
This here is the pond area.
Okay.
And there's a tree just to the north, just on the outer side of the pond.
Okay. Now, Detective, you testified earlier you were there to serve a search warrant, correct?
Yes.
Who were Rexburg police officers involved in serving that warrant?
Yes, Rexburg was involved.
Were there other law enforcement agencies involved in executing that warrant?
Yes, there was.
Okay. What other agencies were involved?
Fremont County Sheriff's Department and the FBI ERT team.
All right. Do you know what ERT stands for?
Evidence Response Team, or Recovery Team, I'm sorry.
Okay. Detective, I'm going to call your attention to that pond area that you just previously pointed at. Did you observe the ERT team engage in any activity on that spot that day?
Yes, I did.
Okay. What did you first observe?
I first observed the ERT team marking off different areas and grading different areas in the backyard of Mr. Daybell's property.
Okay.
Judge, could I have some time and foundation in terms of approximately what time did he observe that taking place?
I'll lay
Yes.
that foundation, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Approximately what time did you see that happen?
Roughly around 9 in the morning.
Okay. What time, and to further lay that foundation, what time did you arrive at Mr. Daybell's property approximately that day?
Approximately 7 a.m.
Okay. So you just testified that around 9 you saw them grading off certain areas. What did you observe after that?
I observed the evidence response recovery team and also cadaver dogs working the entire backyard. So they worked the pond area and then they had marked off other areas inside the backyard.
Okay. And again, at that pond area, what did you observe after you saw the cadaver dogs and the grading?
They had found an area of interest and had started focusing on the area right underneath the tree.
Okay. And did you go over to that area yourself?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Were you able to identify yourself the area of interest they were looking at?
Yes.
Was there anything that stood out to you in that area?
Yes.
What was that?
There appeared to be, and this is just a guess, but about a 4x2 area of sod, what I can best describe as sod, in a shorter grass in an area of longer weed growth. So that 4x2 area stuck out based on the greenery around it.
Okay. And then what did you observe the ERT team do there?
They began pulling up the sod and topsoil.
And then what did they do?
They continued to methodically remove dirt.
Judge, can I inquire in aid of objection?
You may.
Judge, can I inquire as to whether the officer was specifically present at the time that these actions were taking place, or did he return back to Mr. Daybell's vehicle?
You may ask the question. Detective Hermosillo, I'm going to direct you to answer that question.
Yes, I was there.
You were there at the pond in the tree.
That is correct.
Okay. Thank you, Judge.
Mr. Wood, you may proceed.
Thank you. I believe you just testified they started removing, I think you called it sod. Is that accurate?
Yes.
What did you observe them do what did you observe as they removed that sod?
They removed some topsoil that was right underneath the sod, which revealed 3 large white rocks, flat rocks.
Okay, and can you explain for the court how those rocks were oriented?
In a row. So there was a large rock, a large rock, and a large rock.
Okay. After you observed that, what did you observe next?
They removed the rocks, and underneath the white rocks was some thin wood paneling.
Okay. And what did you observe them do with that paneling?
They removed the paneling.
Okay. And then what did you observe?
Initially, as soon as they removed the paneling, I could smell the odor of a decomposing body.
Okay, Detective. I'm going to ask you some questions on that. Through your training and experience, have you had multiple occasions to be around deceased bodies?
Yes.
What are some circumstances in which you would, in the course of your duties, be around that?
In the last 19 years, I've been on plenty of suicides that had been left in apartments that were decomposing, various states. Also unattended deaths, various ages of people. So during the 19 years, I've been to a lot of those.
Okay. And is it your testimony that, to your perception, that state of a body, a deceased body in some sense of decomposition has a specific smell that you recognize?
Yes.
Okay. And it is your testimony that you recognize that smell at that location?
That's correct.
Okay. After you noticed that smell, what did you observe?
I observed the ERT team methodically move away more soil from that area.
All right. And then what happened?
They removed some soil, and there was once they removed some soil, there was a black, what I can best describe as a black plastic bag with a round object protruding through the dirt.
Okay. What did you observe the ER team do after you saw that?
They dug a little bit more around the round object, which appeared to me to be the crown of a head, protruding through the dirt. They used a small, sharp instrument to cut through the black plastic.
Okay. And what did you observe when they did that?
There was a white plastic underneath the black plastic, and they also used the white instrument to cut through the white plastic.
Okay. And what did you observe when they did that?
I observed what looked to be brown human hair.
Okay. Once that was discovered, what did you observe the ER team do? Excuse me. What did you observe the ERT team do?
They continued to just work around the head that was exposed. They took pictures. They did whatever their team leader instructed them to do.
Okay. Was an item of interest eventually pulled out of that area?
Yes.
And can you describe what that item of interest looked like?
It was what appeared to be a small body tightly wrapped in black plastic, covered in duct tape.
Okay. After that item was recovered, what did you observe happen with that item?
That item was then placed into the back of the coroner's vehicle.
Okay. And did you have an opportunity to observe what the coroner did with it?
Yes.
About what time of day was this?
Roughly 11.
Okay.
In the morning.
What did you observe the coroner do with that item of interest?
The coroner brought the bag up to Madison Memorial, where it was placed in the morgue.
Okay. And did you So were you in the vehicle with the county coroner, or did you observe that from another vehicle?
I was not in the vehicle. I was following directly behind the
Okay.
coroner's vehicle.
Did you ever lose sight of that vehicle?
No, I did not.
And did you watch that item of interest be placed in the hospital morgue?
Yes, I did.
Detective, while you were observing what happened at the ERT site, at that site we've just discussed north of the pond, did you ever leave that site for any purpose?
Yes, I did.
What did you do? Well, about what time did you leave that site?
Before noon.
Okay. And what did you do?
I assisted Sergeant Eric Wheeler in placing Mr. Daybell into custody off of a traffic stop.
Okay. Detective, after you observed the county coroner take that item of interest up to the Madison Memorial Hospital, did you return to the Daybell property?
Yes, I did.
What did you do there?
I assisted the other ERT members in excavating different areas on Mr. Daybell's property.
Okay. Can you show the court the areas you assisted in excavation?
And Judge, so that we have a clear record, could you also vocalize that as well, please?
That's fine. Mr. Hermosillo, I'm going to direct you to shine your laser pointer at that and also verbalize what you're describing, what you're pointing at.
I'm describing, or I'm pointing to a fire pit on Mr. Daybell's property, just northwest of the fire pit. There is what we've referred to the pet cemetery, and it's just north of the pet cemetery where I helped excavate.
Okay. And that area that you just referred to as a pet cemetery, why did you call it a pet cemetery?
There was pets buried there.
Okay. Were you able to identify you said they're pets. So when you say pets, are you referring to non-human animals?
That's correct.
Okay.
And Judge, could I inquire again in terms of aid of objection?
You may.
Thank you. Officer, you had mentioned that there were pets buried there. Can you give me the source of the information that advised you that there were pets buried there?
I assisted in digging them up. There was a dog and a cat.
Did you dig up the entire pet cemetery?
I personally did not dig up the entire
Did
pit.
anybody dig up the entire pet cemetery?
I can't answer that.
Were you there?
Your Honor, I'm going to object. This line of questioning doesn't go towards any objection.
Well, he acknowledged that he had assisted in digging up a dog, at least a dog and a cat. He had mentioned pets. I think you ought to be able to inquire as to whether or not he went through the entire pet cemetery or not.
I'm going to overrule the objection. Detective Hermosillo, you can answer the question. Did you dig up the whole pet cemetery?
I personally did not. We were instructed to do different tasks. So when we started on one task, we would complete it and then we would move to something else. But there were several ERT members that were on scene that may have done that.
That may have done that, or did you observe anybody dig up the entire pet cemetery?
Again, Your Honor, this goes to a factual issue, not a legal objection.
Mr. Pryor, it appears that you're doing a cross-examination here. Which objection are you trying to lay foundation for?
Judge, I'll get the information through cross-examination. Let's move on.
Thank you. Why don't we take a brief recess? It is almost 10:30. We'll take a 15-minute recess and then we'll go back on the record.
Wow, right?
At,
we made it to the end.
to 11, so 10:45.
Look, he's happy. All rise. Right. So one day, Sue Ellen had pointed out to me right here in the seal, there's a pickaxe and a shovel. And I was like, oh my God, yeah. Right there in the state seal. Just, symbolism. But okay, we made it. We did it. We did it. We did it. We did it. Yeah. Oh my goodness. That last part there was, I just hadn't seen it in a while. And I mean, you know how they broke it into increments or whatever. So it's always triggering though. When they cry, when mom and Larry cry, or my family, anybody, I'm just like, I can't. Whenever they did that Doomsday documentary, I was actually looking for that. So if I look like I was concentrating or something, it's because I was typing and searching. But I was looking for different clips, that that go with this, that explain what they're talking about, which we did not have at the time of the preliminary hearing. So let me I do want to I found this. Let's see, let me hide myself behind here again, because I had made some, wait, let me get back to it. Okay. I had made some things that, of course, reminded me of that I made, whenever we were at the trial, that were significant, that I didn't know then what I know now. And so the Tyvek suits, that bothers me. The apartment number 175 garage items, Lisa and Alex Cox's name. There were two white Tyvek suits, a lease agreement on the printer, I think, storage plus lease agreement. Okay. Found on a printer with Lori Ryan name on it. They had all kinds of these knives. I forget what tactical knives. There was duct tape. There was rope that looked like this. It was green and black. And the monkey mask. They say Halloween mask, but they were showing on, well, there you go. They were showing on the projector. I mean, can you imagine? This triggered me the second day. It was day 2 of the trial, of Lori Daybell's trial. And it wasn't, no, it triggered me. That and the ghillie suit and all the things, it bothered me. And it triggered me so bad that, I mean, I had to kind of sit there and get my thoughts back, I had to just kind of ground myself. And I put my earbuds in, which they're noise canceling earbuds. And I had to just kind of, I had to ground. And I just remember flipping through YouTube and just trying to find any kind of song. And then when I'd find a song, I would find another song. I just had to like ground myself until I could get out, because it would make a big to do if, you stand up, get all your stuff or whatever, and then have to wade through the people to get to the end of the bench just to go to the door to get out. It's like I have to have an out, I don't like feeling stuck or being stuck, or I don't like that. The deeper I go into a store, the heavier it is for me. And I mean, sometimes I have to do a fast get out, sometimes I'm looking at the emergency door and I'm like, will it go off really loud? But these kind of things, you're not able to set up or, prepare yourself for these kinds of things. I know there are things that they're invisible. Not everybody has them. Not everybody has anxiety disorders and things like that. So I don't expect everybody to understand, but these are all the things that are going on inside of me. I can't speak for anybody else, but inside of me, I was looking at her, Lori. It's like I was doing it all at the same time. So I was very triggered, very hyper aware, very vigilant, hyper vigilant. I'm worried about just the things I'm hearing, how she's reacting. How could she do this? Period. Same for Chad. I haven't been to trial with him yet, but I will. And you're looking at the jurors, I did look at them a lot. Other people, but I didn't really notice people in my peripheral, like other spectators, and I don't know. I just kind of detached. I was very busy. And then you have all your regular internal feelings. How JJ, Tylee, and I mean, I didn't even know Tammy, but just I've come to know her through this. She's part of my life. She's a part of my family. She's a part of this story. So just like Joe Ryan, I mean, they're all victims of Lori for sure. Chad, I'm gonna bring my stick the next time. I think we're gonna do this again. What's today? Tuesday. See you next Tuesday, right? And I think we're gonna do this again Thursday. Because I want to just kind of get these going, and then we're gonna roll into the trial of Lori, and then do it together. I know that many of you did this with many other people as the audio would come out. And I was there with y'all a lot of times making my rounds, right? Because even though I was at the trial, I don't absorb the information like I do with you guys here, looking at how you're reacting, your perspectives. And then it helps me really just kind of form a better picture, a better understanding. And it's just how this works. And that's what's so valuable about this community, and how we all we explore, and then we just culminate or whatever, cultivate. But anyways, this is helping me a lot to just refamiliarize, just not relive it, but kind of sort of in a way, like Sue Ellen said earlier about, in a way it's honoring the victims. And I was like, yeah, it is. And I mean, that's a really good comment. That's a really good perspective. And that's all I want to do is acknowledge them and their real story. This is their voice. This is where they talk, and nobody tells it for them. I mean, I'm one of the people that try to tell it for them, and it's not ever going to be exact. But the accuracy is and the truth is the most important thing. Oh, thank you, Heidi. I'm glad. It sucks having anxiety. It really does. A lot of people don't understand. And then you don't want them to understand, because you don't want anybody to feel that anxiety. Oh, severe anxiety disorder, panic disorder. It is, people are like, why don't you do jumping jacks? I'm like, why didn't I think about that? I've tried and I will try it again, anything not to feel that. But a lot of it is just what I'm holding on to from past, these are counseling, things like this, talking about it. I think that's the best remedy for it. Trauma response. Oh, well, thanks. I don't know. I'm sure it is. Yeah. Oh, definitely. I was traumatized before this, so, this happened, and I mean, it rocked my core. Seriously. And that was just with my Uncle Charles's murder. That wasn't even the rest of the story yet. It just was one wave after the other. And I know that a lot of people, they say that their loss, their pain, whatever, doesn't compare to mine. And I'm like, I don't like that, because it's not a contest. A loss is a loss. I'm going to say I've experienced both regular, just, end of life cycle, life law, losing life that way. I've experienced losing loved ones that way. And then I've experienced losing loved ones via murder. And there is a difference, right? there, there's a difference because it's not just natural, it's somebody that took that upon themselves to do and be. And I mean, that's vicious. Nobody gets to do that in my mind. Nobody has that right. It's a human right. So yeah, cognitive dissonance is hard when you care. It is. It is so hard to try and look at this objectively. It is. I mean, I struggle with this all the time. And I love watching other creators and news stories and documentaries. I love learning like that. I like seeing it through other people's storytelling, the way they tell it. And I'm like, oh yeah, I never really took it like that or saw it like that. And so those perspectives, they all help build the story of Tylee, JJ, Charles, Tammy, and Joe. And I appreciate everybody, whether, it's somebody that just was a one-timer, a small YouTuber, it was TikTok, whatever. I don't care where it came from or how. Everybody's perspectives are valuable and they help. And so I appreciate everybody's time, just even mentioning their names. I remember seeing Bailey Sarian, right? She was just cute as a button, right? And way more, what do you call that? I don't know. She could do two things at one time. I cannot. I'd be like, wait, huh? And just trying to do my eyeliner, right? Look, you see, I do this, right? Young people don't got to do that. But whenever she was actually talking about my family's case, I was like, oh my God, it's like an honor, you're just like, wow, their stories are going to get out to this many people, however many views, and I mean, just for her taking her time out and doing that. And then she didn't even get to finish doing her makeup. She got out a freaking chart. And this was way back. So, it's just people taking their time. Time is something you never get back. Effort, energy, just love, compassion, pass it along. It drives us. So, and I do appreciate you guys being here. I'm glad this was rather successful, I think. I really did like to be here with you guys. I didn't know how to do all this before. So I did this with you guys on other channels, other places. This is how I connected. This is how I learned about their bodies being found. And I've lived a lot of my real life experience in this case with my loved ones right here through a device, through a TV. And it's connected me. So Judge Boyce deciding to put cameras and allow cameras in the courtroom, it means a lot to me. It means a lot to me. We live way, way the hell down here. And Jason, he wasn't able to be at the trial with me. And we have other family that we just can't, it costs a lot of freaking money. It is, you don't get paid back for it. So, I mean, I'm not saying it's not worth it. It is, but I mean, I'm being real with you. I don't have it. I don't have it at all. So, I mean, but that's besides the point. But just the distance factor is a lot. That's just, to me, that's like a culture shock. You go there and it's beautiful and the people are so nice and beautiful people, caring, thoughtful, but it's not home. And it's not in my comfort zone. It's not in my comfort. Y'all did provide that for me too. While I was in Boise, you guys provided me a grounding. I would jump on wherever you guys were, wherever they were playing the audio or KJ was reading the tweets, and I would just jump on and just say whatever, because that's usually what I do. But it's nice to be able to participate and to just feel some kind of normalcy. And you guys have become that. And so I do appreciate y'all for that. Anyways, enough about me. But thank you for being here. And we'll now I don't know about excuse me, about Lori. And if anybody does know, please let me know. I just don't know with her being in Arizona now, which I'm glad. I think a lot of us are. Hold on, let me try and clear my throat. Yeah, KJ all day and then audio all night. Yeah. Okay, so with Lori being in Arizona, and we don't know how Justin Lum and Nate Eden are, two totally different people, two totally different reporters. I love both of them. God dang it. But I don't know how it's gonna go. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if Justin Lum is gonna be as and I'm just gonna say as organized or as like here you go, heads up, here you go, or like the other day, just I'm like, where do I even go to find all this stuff? Thank God Donna had, pre-recorded some things so I could just access them in the studio. But, I want to be able to stream that. I want to be able to experience that with you guys together. Just like everything else. So if y'all know, let me know. And I saw JS for Justice had scheduled for 9:30, I think, Thursday morning, which is when Lori will be at her arraignment. I do believe that's what it is. Yeah, not so happy and chatty now. Yeah. Hey, Lamisa, it's good to see you. You're not super late. You're always on time. That's why they have rewind, right? It was good. I think this is something we trauma bonded or something. Does that make any sense? I mean, there was a time and a place and I used to ask you guys that all the time. What is it about this case, these victims, this story? What is it about this story where you connected? Because that is so interesting, intriguing for me to hear and read. And not just me, there's other family members and friends and that find comfort in your words, So I feel like there's something in all of us where we do connect with some stories and just not with others, and some we just don't know about. But I saw comments, like I know where I was that day when the helicopter over Chad Daybell's property. And I know exactly where I was and what I was doing and what I was feeling and thinking and all of this. So, oh, that's awesome. Let's see. Let me start over. Crush, I wanted to say, what can we do to help ensure you get trauma confirmed care and aftercare during the next chapters? Chad's trial and Lori's in Arizona. I don't know. I've not had it. I've not gone to counseling one time since this. It's not because I didn't want to. It's just my family doctor died. And then, I mean, this is all during the pandemic. And everything was crazy. I mean, Jason just had a thoracotomy, which they removed the lower portion of his right lung as coronavirus was coming out of Wuhan. And I asked the nurse, I was like, you think that's going to be bad? And we're on the pulmonary floor, mind you. No. And then, oh my God, did it ever? It holy shit. But so my doctor died, and I've had him saw him since I was 15. So that was a big blow, just my practitioner who we had just got, like the adult ADD diagnosis and everything. We just got everything together. And I'm like, oh, hell. And finding another person that you can trust like that is hard. But he worked with my counselor, like back then, and they would communicate, which is really good. And so then my counselor, who's also my mom and Larry and my brothers, we all go to see her too. It's just kind of, I don't know. Well, anyways, there's no room for me. And then I even reached out to a grief counseling group here in my town. And that was amazing for me to even do that. I can't believe I did that, actually saw something through. And they were like, yeah, no, you have to be a mom, a dad, a grandparent, or a brother or sister. And so because I was an aunt and a niece, and they didn't point me in the right direction either. And I don't think that they meant anything by it, but I didn't even realize it at the time. I looked back at that email a couple times and I'm just like, wow, I want to provide that. I want to be able to, I don't know about no damn nonprofit organization with all the crap I've learned from Tim Ballard and friends. And I just don't know enough about it. I know that they're not all crappy. I know that. But they sure do throw a wet blanket on them. And it just makes me, until I have time to think about it and to really learn everything, I can't do anything. I won't do anything. So, yeah. It did add to my drama. It did. I was just like, oh my God, nobody acknowledges. Because I don't know. I don't need any recognition. Just acknowledgement. Acknowledgement that I'm here in this space, that I exist, that this was my family. Just as much as it is Mom and Larry's, Annie's, Rex and Adam, Zach, Cox, all these different people. I'm just as relevant, in my opinion. Good Lord. I recognize theirs, and I'm not saying them. I'm just saying people, just people in general. And that's okay. But, so yeah, it's been tough, but it's not, impossible. I do need to see a counselor here because Jason, poor thing, I need somebody other than Jason to spill my soul to. So I will work on that. I will, I promise. And I will let you know if I need help. I will I'm not scared. I'm not scared to say, hey, I'm struggling. And we shouldn't be. We shouldn't have that stigma, that shame or scaredness, scared to open up. That's very vulnerable. And I'm not saying it's easy, because it's not, because there's assholes out there, but it is what it is. They're going to do what they're going to do. Yes. And yes, we still got to do this. I have the bracelets too. I still haven't, I don't know how I did it before, but with the bracelets, I had to put them on PayPal. And I tried the other day doing it on Venmo, and it just it wouldn't let me upload new photos. And I was just like, what the hell? And what am I doing wrong? So I have the new, I don't have one on today, but oh hell. Anyways, it's purple, white, and blue justice bracelets, the rubber bands or whatever. And they say justice for Tylee, Charles, Tammy, JJ, and Joseph. Got all their names on there. So that's there. And I have to send out Sue Ellen's. So, anyways, I do appreciate you guys for being here. I really do. You guys are the best of the best. We will just to make sure your notifications are turned on. That way, because I don't really know when or if they're going to air or how. I don't know all the details about Lori's appearance in court in Arizona Thursday, but I don't want to do a live stream during the day and a live stream in that night. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I'm wanting to continue on doing, this little series. I found a word the other day that kind of explained it. I was like, watchdog. Yes, that's what the hell we are. We're watchdogs. I don't know. That would be awesome, right? I'd send them a whole damn box. Oh, that's awesome. That's good. I'm glad. Hugs to you too, Janelle. Thank you for being here. I still need to vet out that somebody reached out to me, says they were an OUR operative. I don't know who. I gotta respond to that. So that would be interesting. So, anyways, love you guys. We'll see you around somewhere Thursday. Maybe here, probably, hopefully. We'll figure it out. We'll get Justin Lum hemmed up. I'll get Mom to call him. There you go. But anyways, I love you guys. Justice for Tylee, Charles, Tammy, JJ, and Joe. Love always wins. You guys are proof of this. And I appreciate you. See you next Thursday.